Have you seen that new movie by Pixar, Luca? It's put out by Disney, and everybody I have asked about it, everybody that tells me about it, says it's so cute, and it is. But my review, as always, is on psychology, and I want to talk a little bit about the psychology of that movie because I'm not sure it's all that healthy for your kids, and so I think it's really appropriate for you to use it as a wonderful teaching lesson for your kids and to kind of help them through some what are pretty normal experiences in childhood. Hey, I'm Brett, licensed psychotherapist and the executive director for The Gathering of Good People. The Gathering is where we put together some support groups for you. And right now we're looking at starting up a new support group to help parents with anxious children. So this movie review is just perfect timing because Luca has some anxiety and there's some lessons about his anxiety that I'm not sure are that useful. So again, let's use this as a learning tool. Now, I was told about Luca by my neighbor. She's got some really small ones and she knows I do these videos about different movies. And so she was really excited. She was like, Brett, have you seen Luca yet? Have you done a movie review of Luca? Because I'd love to hear what you have to say. I love that one part about Bruno and telling him, just to bug off. I'm like, no, I haven't, but it sounds like I think I should. So I checked it out this weekend. And my first impression was, yeah, it is. It is a cute movie. But the message scared the snot out of me. And let me just talk about kind of what I saw in the movie that was disturbing, and then we'll kind of break it out a little bit. There are a couple themes in there in the movie that every child hits. And I think in that way, any child watching this movie is going to go, oh yeah, I can identify that. I can see that. But I'm not sure you're going to like the message when you start seeing it from a parent point of view. So the movie's really cute. It's about a little boy who is actually a merman, and people see him, land monsters see him as a sea monster. And it's a story about, the inner shame that we all carry. All of us feel like there's a monster inside of us. And if somebody finds out, about my monster inside of me, if it leaks out, if it shows somehow, man, everybody's going to hate me. Everybody's going to reject me. And that's one of the themes throughout the movie is he's always constantly trying to hide his inner monster, as it were, because he's so afraid to be rejected. And that's a theme that your kids are going to just dive right into and go, oh yeah, I feel that. I feel that all the time. Now, the problem I'm having with the movie is the message. And the message is basically, here's a boy who is unhappy. He's unhappy with his life. Whatever. He's bored. He's looking for something adventurous. He's looking for something exciting. His life is just kind of blah. And again, a theme that all teenagers and preteens can totally identify with. Because, they're all looking for a little bit of excitement in their lives. Because that's what teenagers want, is some excitement. Well, he meets another kid. And this other kid he meets is totally free. He has no restraints, no rules, a life without boundaries. And to Luca, that looks pretty amazing. And together, they go on an adventure. And the adventure is basically themed with this idea of we're going to find happiness. We're going to find happiness by going through this trial or tribulation or these difficulties, and we're going to figure out, because on the other end of all of this is happiness. Now, that's my first problem with this movie. It's basically the idea that if you're not happy, you need to create change. You need to run away from wherever you are, because wherever you are, clearly that's the problem. And you have to escape where you are because where you are is holding you back. And that's really the message that this other little boy is reinforcing in Luca. And so they go on an adventure to try and find ultimate freedom, because they feel like if they can have this ultimate freedom to move, to travel, to go anywhere, then they can escape unhappiness. Wherever they find it, wherever it is, they can get out of it because they have this freedom. And the symbol of this freedom is the scooter. The scooter, the Vespa. If they can get a Vespa, this thing is going to take them anywhere they need to go. It's going to take away from all their problems. It's going to take away from all their difficulties. It's going to take them away from anything that's hard or difficult. And that's what every little boy wants. It's an escape. So it fits all the schemas, the stereotypes, the psychology of children. And so children, they're going to eat this movie up. Now, how? How do you get away from your problems? Well, the message here is run. Well, I'm not sure that's a really good message. So let's look at this whole movie now from a different point of view. Let's look at it from the point of view of you as a parent. So imagine you have a kid, and the kid is feeling unhappy because that's what kids feel. And the kid decides that he's going to ditch school and he's going to go hang out with some other slightly older boy who is also not going to school. And they're going to get into mischief together. How would you feel about that as a parent? What if your kid had a job like this kid, Luca, did, and your kid doesn't go to work? He skips work. He lies to you. He says, oh, yeah, I'm going in. I'm going to go take care of whatever chores I have. And then he goes and takes off. And he goes, hangs out with his friend. How would you feel about that as a parent? Is that what you want for your kid? Now, as they go hang out, this other kid starts to introduce him to all kinds of adventures, but they're all crossing the boundaries of everything a parent's ever taught. And so in the movie, it's kind of fun and playful, and it seems innocent. The boy moves from water to land. But that same kind of breaking of boundaries is the same exact experience that happens when a kid meets a slightly older kid and they introduce him to pornography. And it's like, oh my gosh, my parents always told me pornography, it's bad. But oh my gosh, it feels good. It feels amazingly good. The same thing's true with alcohol. You know, my parents have always said, stay away from alcohol. Don't drink. Drinking's bad. Drinking's a terrible thing. You shouldn't drink. But I had some drinks and it made me feel really good. Or smoking marijuana or even shoplifting. It's chasing the high. It's chasing the adrenaline. And it is. It's super exciting. And the kid is going to walk away from those experiences thinking, man, my parents have lied to me all this time. They've hidden a whole nother world from me that is this world's going to make me happy. This is where I'm going to find my happiness. And my parents hid it from me. Now imagine the addiction starts growing. And that's what's happening in this movie, man. The excitement of going from water to land is pretty cool. Then there's more excitement, doing all this thrill seeking. This older kid literally tells this younger kid, Luca, hey, jump off a cliff. And the peer influence is so powerful, Luca does. Luca rides the scooter off the edge of a cliff. It looks fun and innocent. It looks playful. It looks adventurous. But it's really just inappropriate behavior, crossing boundaries, seeking adrenaline, seeking a high. And the high could be coming from pornography. It could be coming from drugs. It could be coming from any illegal behavior, stealing, breaking and entering. all of those same kind of behaviors that normal children engage in are exciting and exhilarating, just like we're seeing in the movie. Well, what happens? Well, what always happens? The parents find out. The parents find out and they say, oh man, no way, Jose, Luca, you're grounded. In fact, we're going to send you to rehab, or we're going to send you to drug treatment. We're going to send you to counseling, or we're going to send you somewhere where you can get the help you need to break this unhealthy relationship that you have. And what does Luca do? He runs away. And again, imagine you're a parent and you set some boundaries on your kids who are snuffing, who are ditching school, or sloughing is what they call it here in Utah. Sorry about that. He's ditching school. And you come down on him and you say, hey, that's not appropriate. And you put some restrictions on him, or you tell him you're going to send him away to some relative's house so he can't ditch school. And he runs away from home. Where would you be as a parent? But that's the lesson, consciously, unconsciously, that's the lesson that the movie's teaching this child. That's the lesson that Disney is teaching your child. One, your parents' boundaries are inappropriate. They're over-exaggerated. And two, man, when you break through those boundaries, when you break through those rules that your parents inappropriately have on you, you are going to find happiness beyond happiness. You're going to find such joy and excitement that you never knew. And three, if they try to hold you back, if they try to stop you, run away. Run away. Go. Split. Leave. Take off. Well, you may say, oh, no, this is just a movie, and you know, that is the message. That is exactly the message of the movie. You think it's an innocent, cute movie, but that's exactly the message. And what happens when he runs away from home? He gets an ever deepening problems. And his lies start to break through. And things start to fall apart. And even his friendships start falling apart because of his lies and manipulations, deceit, all that stuff. And eventually, what happens? Well, what always happens? It all falls apart. But in this movie, the message, the lesson is, it's all good. It's all going to work out. It's all fine. It's all going to fall apart. And then somehow, magically, people are going to see your good intentions. They're going to see your good heart. And the fact you broke all these rules and you're doing all these wrong things and inappropriate things, it's all good. And you're going to be forgiven. And there's no consequences for your behavior. That's the lesson. That's what happens with Luca. In fact, he gets rewarded for all of his deceptions and lies. Not only do his parents not get mad at him or punish him or give him any kind of consequence whatsoever for literally running away from home, he's rewarded. He's given an opportunity to go to this faraway school, which again promotes this idea of escapism. That if you're unhappy in your world, all you have to do is just escape. Just run away to someplace new, someplace different. And you'll find the happiness that you're looking for. To me, as a parent, this is a super scary movie because this is exactly the fantasy that every child has. And that they can just do all this inappropriate stuff and it's all going to be good. Everything's going to magically be forgiven. There's going to be no consequences, no jail time, no court, nothing for any of the violations, none of it. Wow, that's a scary message. Now, there's another message in this movie that kind of freaks me out a little bit too, and that's the one that my neighbor was telling me about. She's like, oh, it was so great. You know, at one point, this kid, he learns to talk to his fears and he learns to say, hey, no, Bruno, go away, and just push through them. But that's not what happened at all. I'm waiting for that movie, for that point in the movie, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be great. I'm going to see this, psychological exercise put into use, and it's going to be awesome. And that's not what's happening. In that particular scene, what's happening is that Luca has a conscience. Luca has a conscience, and his conscience is saying, no, this is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is dangerous. What you're doing is inappropriate. That's not anxiety. Anxiety is when you have a fear, but their fear isn't proportionate, isn't somehow connected naturally, normally to the circumstances, to the event. But here in this situation, it's a conscience he has. He has a moral compass that says, no, stop, don't do this, because you're doing something really dumb and dangerous. And his friend teaches him, oh no, blow off your conscience. Say to your conscience, nah, I'm just going to keep going. That was not a healthy exercise. And I don't want your kids to do that with themselves. And this is often the case, even if Luca had anxiety at the moment, this is often the case, that somebody that doesn't have anxiety, someone that's never experienced anxiety in their life, looks at somebody that has anxiety, which clearly Luca does, and they say, oh, you have anxiety? Oh, just tell it no. Just tell it go away. Just tell it to stop. And somehow, magically, that's supposed to work. That somehow, magically, your anxiety is supposed to go away. I want you to have a conversation with your kids. What I want you to do is as you go through this movie, I want you to go through it with them because they're going to see it or they're going to see other movies like it. A couple examples that come to mind real quick. Pinocchio. Pinocchio's same kind of movie as this. Exactly the same kind of movie. Pinocchio runs away from home. Pinocchio starts a life of lying and deception. His nose starts growing. Unfortunately, in Pinocchio, the story's even worse because in Pinocchio, he meets friends and the friends are drinking and smoking and he gets stoned and he slowly starts turning into a donkey as a consequence to his behavior. But then ultimately saves his dad, who is only in danger because he's trying to save Pinocchio from his own bad behaviors. And somehow he's all forgiven for it all. What a crappy message. Dumbo's no different. When Dumbo starts acting out with inappropriate friends, the crows, they get drunk. They start hallucinating. They're so drunk. Luckily, in this movie, messages were taken out. But everything else about the themes in those movies that were wrong are still playing out in this movie that's wrong. So you're not going to escape. You can say to your kid, don't watch this movie, but that's not going to be a good solution because this message is out there. What you need to do is go through this movie with your kid and go, okay, let's talk about that right there. What did he just do? Well, he just lied to his parents. Yeah. Was that appropriate? What do you think is going to happen? And walk through, hey, what happened in the movie was he had no consequences. Do you think that's real? Or do you think that's a movie? And walk through each part of this delusion that this movie portrays to children. Because it's setting your children up for a hard, hard life. And I think it's a cute movie, but its message is painful and dangerous. Now, there is one redeeming part to this movie, one redeeming factor in this movie. As you may or may not know, I'm writing a new book, and the new book's about rethinking happiness. Where do we find happiness? And at the very end of the movie, unfortunately, I don't think it's emphasized enough or pushed enough, but the very end of the movie, what Luca discovers is that happiness doesn't come from a place. It comes from relationships. Relationships are what make us happy. Our relationships with our family, our relationships with friends, our relationships with ourselves is where happiness comes from. It doesn't come from seeking highs or going out on adventures or or trying to find anything or trying to even run away from your problems. Happiness comes from relationships. And I don't think that was emphasized enough. So when you have this conversation with your kids, make sure you bring that point out, because that should have been the hard sell, the hard push on this movie, is that all of our happiness comes from the relationships we have with people. So watch this movie with your kids, talk about it with them, and help them see the truth of where happiness really comes from. Again, I hope to see you on the Gathering of Good People. We're doing a new support group, hopefully for parents with kids with anxiety. So come on and maybe sign up for that, right? So we can see you there. Again, I'm Brett, licensed psychotherapist, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.